Today, everyone, we're going to do an activity to study the relationship between position and time for a moving object. The problem of today's activity is going to be to find the velocity of a motorized toy cart. So these carts that you see up here right now, we flip a little switch, the back wheels turn on. Okay? They drive. They're all going to drive at a different speed because the batteries are in different conditions, and these aren't particularly well calibrated to begin with. So they're all going to travel at different speeds. We want you to find the speed, or the velocity, I should say, of your particular toy car. Does that make sense? Sounds like a pretty easy problem. Now, the procedure that we're going to use to follow it, well, we don't know what that is yet, but the problem isn't complicated. How fast is this toy car moving as it's turned on? What's the apparatus that we're going to use? Well, this is a little bit different than anything you've ever used before. Okay, the first thing you're going to see is a car. You see a car up in the top corner here with a piece of cardboard on it. The cardboard is on it to make the car bigger, effectively. We're going to use something called a motion sensor to sense the motion of this car. And if the car is too small, then the motion sensor will lose it when the car goes, 20, 30 centimeters away from it. We want the motion sensor to pick the car up when the car is a little bit further away from the motion sensor. So we make it bigger by taping this cardboard on the back of it. Now, this is your car with your cardboard. This is your motion sensor. And then this is what we call an AirLink 2 apparatus. We're going to plug in the motion sensor into this AirLink 2 apparatus. This AirLink 2 apparatus is a device that will transmit wirelessly the data that we collect here, the position time data, wirelessly to your iPhone, which you can in turn email to yourself and then plot a graph on Microsoft Excel without ever picking up a pencil or a pen. Does that make sense? Now, how are we going to do it? Well, that becomes a little bit trickier, although it's not that bad. There's the iPhone, by the way, just in case. I thought I'd throw that in there just in case you didn't know what an iPhone looked like. Okay. That's what an iPhone looks like, by the way. If you have an iPad, it works just as well. Okay. Don't worry if you don't have an iPhone. You don't need to go buy one, although it would be a good excuse to go home to your mom or dad and say, I need an iPhone for physics class. You don't. Okay, I promise you don't. There's enough people in this room that have them that we'll be able to work with somebody who does have one, and it'll all be just fine. Fraser? I believe there is we'll talk about that in a few minutes here, okay? We'll talk about that in just a moment. All right, so how's it going to work exactly? The first thing you're going to have to do, those of you who have an iPhone, is download a free app. Okay, so if you can go into the App Store right now, and in the App Store, I want you to search for SparkView. SparkView, one word, SparkVue. There will be two versions. One is a free version, one is a paid version. The paid version is better, but the free version should work just fine for what we want to do here. I'm not going to ask you to pay for anything. Download the free version, please. And when you do that, then we'll get going. We'll keep going from where we are right now. All right, now that we have a number of people with the app installed on their iPhone, you're not going to delete that, by the way, because we'll use it several more times this year. So just keep that app right on your iPhone or your iPad or whatever it is, and we'll use it again several more times this year. Once you have that downloaded, which a number of you do here right now, it's time to actually do the experiment, and it's time to set up the experiment. Here's how it's going to work. You're going to connect this motion sensor that you see a blown up version over here. Okay, you're going to connect it to the AirLink 2. Okay, that's going to be fairly clear and fairly easy to do. Make sure you take a look at the plug, because there is one way to plug it. Don't try to force it upside down, because then you're going to break some prongs. But it is fairly clear if you take a look at it which way you're going to actually do it. So don't worry about messing up. If you look at it, you should be okay. Okay, once you've got that connected, you're going to turn on this AirLink 2. There's a little switch. Okay, I think that all of you are electronic savvy enough now to figure out how to turn on this thing with a physical switch that says on. Okay, make sure you turn it on. Then you're going to go to your iPhone, and here's where it gets a little bit tricky. If you've ever connected Bluetooth speakers or Bluetooth headset or anything like that to your iPhone, then this is going to be old hat. You'll have done this before. But if you haven't connected anything Bluetooth to it, then this is going to be a little bit new to you. You're going to go to your iPhone, you're going to go to Home, you're going to go to Settings, you're going to go to General, and then you're going to go to Bluetooth. Don't worry about writing that down, because with each AirLink apparatus, there's going to be the exact handout that I have in my hand right now. Okay, and it's got all those instructions on it. Okay, so you're going to go into Bluetooth, and then you're going to set the Bluetooth on. Now it's going to search for all these different Bluetooth devices, and it's going to find a bunch of them. It's going to find a bunch of Bluetooth devices. In fact, it'll find at least 8, because we're going to have 8 of these AirLink apparatuses on. What you want to do is look at the back of your AirLink and see what the number is. Okay, it's going to list 8 different AirLink apparatuses on your iPhone. You want to pick the one that you're using, not the one that your neighbor's using. You don't want to download your neighbor's data. You want your own data. Does that make sense? Okay, unless you think your neighbor's really smart and will have better data than you. No, you don't want to do that. You still don't want to do that. Okay, you don't want to steal their data, just in case it's really bad. Every once in a while, you might find, and to be honest, I haven't found this, but it is in the instructions, so I just thought I'd mention it to you. Every once in a while, you might find that the AirLink device happens to blink green. It normally blinks green, that's okay. But it might continue to blink green, and it might not find your iPhone, or your iPhone might not find it. So it might not hook up the first time. If that's the case, just shut off your iPod and try it again, and it should all be good. Okay? Honestly, in the number of times that I've tried, it's the first time we've done this with a class in this school, period, Mr. Kader or myself. So we've never done this with a big group here. But every time I've tried it myself, which has been several times, just kind of playing with this to make sure that it works, I've never had a problem connecting. Okay? If you do, then just shut off your iPhone and just try it again, and it should be good. Got it? All right. How are we actually going to collect data? Once you've got that set up, okay, once your iPhone is connected wirelessly to this SparkView and motion sensor apparatus, or this AirLink, I should say, and motion sensor apparatus, then you're going to launch the app on your iPhone or your iPad. Okay, we all know how to launch the app. There's a little plus button, and you're going to see that. Okay, it's a little, I believe it's a little red or green, I can't remember which one it is, plus button to create a new experiment. Name that experiment. Okay, name it position versus time, or name it, toy car lab, or name it whatever you want to name it, as long as you're going to recognize what it's supposed to be. Okay, just make it recognizable to you. Then you're going to select your measurement and your units. It should come up to give you an option to measure position. Every once in a while, sometimes it automatically uses the accelerometer in your iPhone. Okay? You can actually measure acceleration on that app using the accelerometer on your iPhone, and sometimes it doesn't detect the Bluetooth sensor, the AirLink, and the motion sensor. So sometimes it won't give you the option of measuring position. Sometimes it'll only give you the option of measuring acceleration. If that's the case, then unplug it. Okay, unplug the AirLink from the motion sensor, turn off your iPhone, and do it again. Okay, it should work. That's happened to me a couple times. But if you play with it a couple of times, like unplugging and turning off your iPhone, it always works in the end. Okay, once you've got that connected, once you've got it set up to measure position, okay, and with the right units, which presumably are going to be meters for you, then you're going to launch the experiment. Okay, you're going to touch the experiment name. There's going to be a little arrow beside it, and then there's going to be the name of the experiment. You don't want to touch the arrow. You want to touch the physical name of the experiment. You want to touch the letters that name the experiment. And then there's going to be a little green start button. You're going to press it. It's going to start collecting data. Then you're going to press a little red stop button. It's going to stop collecting data. Simple as that. Okay, you're going to see, as you're collecting data, you're going to see a graph on your iPod or your iPhone forming. Okay, it's going to graph it as it goes. Does that make sense? The graph is not what you want to transfer to a computer and email to yourself. It's the data that you want to transfer to yourself. Because you're going to plot the graph on Microsoft Excel again. The graph on this isn't very good. The graph on Excel is much, much better, and we can do a lot more with it. The instructions for transferring it to your computer are at the bottom of the page, and I'm not going to go through those right now because they're pretty straightforward. Okay? Good? There's a few other things on this page as well that I'm not going to mention here right now. If you have any questions as you're doing it, then by all means ask. One little thing that I will mention, just as a matter of not electronics and not how this whole sensor stuff works, but just as a matter of physical convenience and just for making the general experiment work properly. What I want you to do is, with your partners, before the person who's got the iPhone presses start, I want you to have this turned on, and I want you to put it down on the ground and move your hand away just before they press start. Okay, if they press start and then you put your hand down and put the cart down, what's going to happen? The motion sensor is going to sense your hand, right? We don't want the motion sensor detecting the position of your hand. We want it detecting the position of this only. So start it, have it ready to go, count it down, maybe 3, 2, 1, go. On go, start the iPhone. Start the app on the iPhone. Press start. Okay. On 1, okay, 3, 2, 1, then put this down and get your hand out of the way so that it's already moving when the iPhone app is activated. Make sense? All right, so we're going to go in groups of 3 or 4. If I can get, right now, each person, again, with the app on their iPhone or iPad to raise your hand. Okay, you will be, or at least some of you guys, will be our so-called group leaders, for lack of a better term, because you're the people with the technology. Make sure you team up with somebody that does have the iPhone and the app on the iPhone or an iPad. Make sure you team up with them, and make sure you have a group of either 3 or 4. Either is okay, 3 or 4. Not 2, not 5, 3 or 4. Got it? All right, let's get at it.